At the company's latest project seminar, I entered the meeting room 3 minutes early. However, my husband's business partner and childhood friend gave me a displeased sidelong glance. Late again? And where's the coffee I asked you to buy? You didn't get it again. Are you just ignoring what I say? I glanced at my watch and ignored her as I walked to my seat. But she kicked my chair away with her foot, saying with a look of disdain, "If you can't even handle such a small task, you might as well go home and be a housewife. Let Donovan take care of you. You call yourself a career woman. If it weren't for Donovan's sake, I would fire you immediately to spare us the eyes. Trash among women." As soon as her words fell, everyone in the meeting room looked at me with contempt and rolled their eyes. I immediately dialed Chase Donovan's number and threw the phone on the table. "Then ask your president, Donovan, if he dares to fire me." The phone rang twice. Chase hung up the phone, rang twice immediately. Faint snickers arose in the conference room. "That's hilarious." Asking if Donovan would dare to fire her. Donovan wouldn't even bother acknowledging her. I've heard women with unhappy marriages are mentally unhealthy. I think she's one of them. Can't do anything right. Just rides on being the CEO's wife. A dog barking because of its master's power. I can't stand women like her. Acting all high and mighty like she's better than everyone but actually useless at everything. An embarrassment to women. Ooh. I ignored the taunts and kept playing while Chase just kept hanging up. I slightly furrowed my brows as my female partner, Caroline, let out a sigh. "All right, everyone knows what you're like. No need to save face here. Hurry up and get the coffee. We have a meeting to start." She opened the files on the desk, pretending to be serious. I just kept dialing with a cold expression. Chase number. The call finally connected and the meeting room instantly fell silent. Everyone was waiting for Chase's reaction. He clicked his tongue and I could almost picture his annoyed frown. "Are you out of your mind? I was drinking with clients until midnight yesterday and my head is killing me. Why the hell do you keep calling me?" I asked calmly without any emotion. "Chase, your partner wants to fire me. Did you know that?" On the other end of the phone, Chase remained silent for 2 seconds before speaking in a cold tone. "I don't know, but she did the A glint flashed in my eyes right thing." A glint flashed in my eyes as I glanced at the other colleagues who had already begun to sneer. "Talia Reed, you said you didn't want to be a housewife, so I arranged for you to join the best department. But what about you? You consistently rank at the bottom in performance, collecting a salary for nothing. Do you have any idea how many people are dissatisfied with you? The company is going public and I don't keep useless people around. If you can't do the job, go home and make soup for me. Don't embarrass yourself here." Chase hung up the call before I could say anything. Everyone in the meeting room was eagerly watching, all waiting to see my awkward expression. Caroline Abbott swayed her figure as she walked up to me. "I've long told Chase that your skills aren't worthy of joining the company. With the company's current scale and industry standing, we only accept the most top-tier talents. Now it's settled. You might as well go home to do laundry and cook soup, striving to be a full-time housewife." She raised a meaningful smile. "Don't end up being incompetent at work and unable to keep your family. That would be a joke, right?" Caroline sneered and the colleagues present all joined in the mockery. I faintly curled the corners of my lips, deliberately feigning confusion as I asked her, "What do you mean? Are you saying the company doesn't need me? Chase doesn't need me either." Caroline looked as if she had just heard the most ridiculous joke. She burst into laughter, her body shaking with mirth. "At work you're always late. Leave early. Disrespect your superiors. Put on makeup with an air of defiance every day and never complete your tasks at home. You show no consideration for your husband, refuse to continue the family line, and don't even bother to ask when he comes home vomiting from social engagements. What do you have to offer? What value do you even bring?" I replied with a cold tone, lips curling slightly. "My value is ensuring people like you, including Chase, have food on your tables. If I leave, the Donovan Group is finished." My words seemed like a massive boulder plunging into the lake, stirring up overwhelming waves of mockery. But they had no idea what I truly meant to Chase and the Donovan family. Years ago, Chase's grandfather, Donovan, came to my father with a blood-stained photograph in hand. He said, "He and my grandfather were once brothers in the same trench and he saved my grandfather's life." Using this life-saving favor as leverage, Chase asked for my hand in marriage while I was still studying abroad. As for me, I've never believed in love, thinking that an arranged marriage would be inevitable in the future anyway. Might as well repay this debt for my grandfather. Besides, at that time Chase was fair-skinned and clean-cut, his appearance matching my preferences. But my father was a seasoned veteran in the business world, and he specifically signed a prenuptial agreement with Donovan, setting clear terms and conditions. If Chase wrongs me, everything the Donovan family has gained from me will vanish into thin air in just 2 years with my support. The Donovan family rose to prominence and became the industry leader. They accomplished a 10-year development plan in just 1 year, but now it seems I've let the Donovans get a bit too far ahead. Chase has grown some skills and thinks he can handle things now. Then Caroline was still laughing. Don't mind settling accounts properly with the Donovans. Over there, Caroline was still laughing, bent over with laughter, smoothing out the crow's feet at the corners of her eyes with her hand. That's the funniest joke I've ever heard. I couldn't be bothered to argue with them, so I grabbed my bag and left. But before I could even reach the conference room door, 2 employees stood up and locked it. They stood guard at the entrance like 2 door gods. I spoke coldly. What do you mean? Caroline finally stopped laughing and walked up to me in her high heels. She crossed her arms and looked me up and down. Talia, do you really think the company is your home? Coming and going as you please. There's a process for termination. I lifted my eyelids slightly. I don't need to follow procedures. Caroline scratched my bag twice with her sharp nails. Whether it's needed or not isn't for you to decide. Open your bag. Let's check if you're carrying any company property. If you are, it could be considered theft. Before I could argue, she added, all company projects involve top secret information. If you were to take anything or record it, the losses would be enormous. Caroline gave me a sly smile. Just following protocol. Don't mind it. She waved her hand. And immediately 2 other employees stood up and walked towards me. I watched as Caroline became increasingly aggressive. I began to realize I'd been far too accommodating in my daily interactions. I watched as Caroline became increasingly aggressive from childhood. My grandfather and father taught me to be kind to others and avoid making enemies. Having grown up abroad, I am the last person to assert authority based on social status. But in reality, this only fuels their arrogance. Caroline, have you considered the consequences of doing this? Caroline snatched my bag and dumped all its contents onto the floor in front of everyone. I'm a company partner. I enforce the company rules and Donovan's orders. What consequences could I possibly face? She casually kicked at my scattered belongings on the floor with the tip of her shoe. Then she raised her eyebrows with a challenging look. Just because there's nothing in the bag doesn't mean there's nothing on the person. Search them. As her words fell, the employees in the meeting room all wore expressions of watching a show. Some even let out wolf whistles. I furrowed my brows, only to see the 2 employees guarding the door gradually approaching me. I immediately slapped away their outstretched hands. I scolded them in an icy tone, "Don't be so insolent. What right do you have to search me?" I suddenly unleashed my full imposing aura. It was completely different from my usual gentle and mild demeanor. Those people were somewhat frightened, standing frozen in place at a loss. Caroline gave a contemptuous snort and pushed past them. Talia, who are you trying to scare? She paused, staring at me as she said, Are you still trying to intimidate us with your status as the CEO's wife? Then you're mistaken, Mrs. Su. You won't hold that title for much longer. I can tell you straight up, Donovan has long disliked you. He never thought highly of you in the first place. The woman worthy of him must be thousands of times more outstanding, and Caroline's smug expression confirmed my earlier suspicions. Perfect than you. A truly successful woman. In his eyes, you're not even comparable to the company's cleaning lady. Caroline's smug expression confirmed my earlier suspicions. Chase has someone else. Moreover, it's not Caroline. She is a capable partner, but she has no personal fortune. Given Chase S's current status and position, the person he would choose over me must be able to bring him immense benefits. But he was being too naive. No one can surpass me. Caroline saw me lower my gaze in silence, thinking her words had struck a nerve. What's wrong? Scared? A bit late to realize fear now, isn't it? A housewife who gets divorced, loses her husband's support, and lacks the ability to survive independently must feel utterly hopeless about the future. Caroline's chatter suddenly piqued my interest. From her expression, she seemed quite pleased with Chase's new partner. This couldn't help but make me a little curious. Who could this successful woman be? Caroline suddenly targeting me like this must have been instructed by this person to make me. I spoke expressionlessly, voluntarily step aside and divorce Chase. They'd still have to ask if the Donovan family is willing. Watching Caroline's haughty demeanor, I spoke expressionlessly. Caroline, Chase hasn't divorced me yet, and you're already popping the champagne at halftime. Be careful not to embarrass yourself. Huh. Talia, stop trying to save face. Just cooperate with the body search and leave the company quietly. Otherwise, when Donovan arrives, you'll be the one humiliated. She crossed her arms, her expression twisted. Be body search, who dares? I shouted. What's there to fear? Chase's voice came from the doorway. Everyone in the meeting room involuntarily stood up. Donovan is here. Let's see how she keeps up the act. What's there to act? Everyone in the company knows Donovan never takes her seriously. They all think she'll be dumped sooner or later. She's just a pretty face, easily replaceable. She can't compare to that one at all. Chase walked into the meeting room dressed in high-end custom attire. His hair slicked back, hands in his pockets. Caroline exchanged a glance with him, then stepped back with a smile to make way for him. He walked up to me, his voice devoid of any emotion. Talia, let's get a divorce. Name your terms. Chase, does your grandfather know you're let's get a divorce divorcing me? How important I am to the Donovan family. Donovan knows best. If you want to play the game of killing the donkey after it's done grinding, you'd better have the skills to pull it off. Chase let out a mocking laugh. Talia, don't use Grandpa to pressure me all the time. I've been filial enough marrying you and supporting you all these years for nothing. I've done more than enough. I can give you money. Enough for a lifetime as long as you agree to divorce. I forced a smile, curling the corners of my lips. Money isn't important. Chase, you want to switch partners to climb higher? But how can you be sure she'll be your ladder? Chase thought I cared about this marriage, cared about his betrayal, and was in high spirits. What's there left to say at this point, Talia? Even if you can't live without me, I must get a divorce. With her status and position, she could become an even greater asset for my expansion. The Donovan family could directly ascend an entire social class. So, Talia, let's get divorced. While I still have patience, I casually straighten my skirt with indifference. Chase, if you divorce me, you'll lose everything you have, including these people here. They'll even lose their jobs. Chase burst into laughter with Caroline. As if he had just heard the funniest joke, he casually took a seat on a chair, crossing his legs. All right. You're really something. If you agree to divorce, I'll just wait to lose everything. Fine. Everyone also thought I had gone mad from the shock and was already talking nonsense. It's true that women must be independent and strong. Look at her. Just the mention of divorce and her spirit has collapsed. Starting to babble incoherently. I really can't stand her. And she's even taking away our livelihoods. Our jobs were given by Donovan. What does it have to do with her? Poor woman. Still putting on a brave face when everything's already. I took a deep breath, fallen apart inside. The murmurs and whispers reached my ears. I took a deep breath. This is the result of being too easygoing. Father always talks about mutual respect and consideration, but these should depend on who you're dealing with. Birds of a feather flock together. Chase and the people under him aren't much better in terms of overall quality. A listed company. I think it went public too early. I took out my phone to make a call, but it was Caroline who slapped it away with a smack. We haven't searched you yet. What are you doing with your phone? Trying to leak company secrets. My anger began to rise bit by bit. I've never felt so wronged in all my life. At first they didn't know, and ignorance is no sin. I can't be bothered to actually get angry with these people. But now they're pushing their luck. And a simple apology won't cut it anymore. Caroline, if you're acting under Chase and that woman's orders behind the scenes, I won't hold it against you. But think carefully. Do you have what it takes to bear the consequences of your actions? My gaze swept across everyone in the conference room who was watching the drama unfold. The same warning applies to them as well. Chase scoffed twice. I really don't understand you. How can you still shamelessly threaten my people at a time like this? Caroline waved her hand dismissively with even more disdain. Stop dawdling. Search them. My expression turned cold instantly. Just about to teach those people a lesson. A woman's careless voice sounded. Chase, why make such an ugly scene in front of everyone? It's so unbecoming. Amid the clicking of high heels, a woman who appeared a few years older than me walked into the conference room. She walked over to Chase in a stunning red. A woman who appeared a few years older than me, bodycon dress, exuding elegance. Right in front of me, she hooked her arm with his and raised an eyebrow. Miss Reed, I heard you think I'm not qualified to be Chase's capital. Ms. Morgan, you're here. Caroline was the first to react, stepping forward with flattery. It's all because of this Talia who stubbornly refuses to cooperate with the resignation process. Otherwise, we should have personally gone downstairs to welcome you." Her attitude greatly pleased Ms. Morgan. Then Ms. Morgan leaned even closer to Chase. "No need to be so formal. Your Chase employees, Donovan Group, will essentially become part of my assets. My headquarters in Hong Kong operate quite casually. However, your efficiency still needs improvement. It's rather laughable that a simple employee termination has dragged on this long. Yes. We'll definitely make the necessary changes." I raised an eyebrow slightly. "From Harbor City, surname Morgan. The Morgan family has been an aristocratic clan in Harbor City for generations. I heard the Morgans have served important figures in the capital for ages. Our esteemed Morgan lady is none other than Morgan family's current head, Paige, holding a truly accomplished woman, the highest status in Hong Kong. A truly accomplished woman. This is the kind of woman men need. Talia can't even compare." Judging by everyone's reaction, this Morgan lady must have already made her presence known to everyone before. "It's all my fault for being too detached and non-competitive at work. I had no idea my husband was cheating right under my nose." "Miss Morgan," I said softly. "So you're planning to be the other woman? Don't put it so harshly, Paige." Morgan smiled faintly in rebuttal, showing not a shred of shame for meddling in someone else's marriage. "How does that saying go? The one who's not loved is the third wheel. Talia, I've set my sights on Chase, and from now on he's my man. If you back off, that would be for the best. But if you still want to fight me for him, let's see what you've got. After all, when I, Paige, want something, nobody dares to compete with me. Not in Hong Kong, not even in the capital." Paige declared her domineering sovereignty with just a few words. Everyone present was intimidated by her. Beside her, Chase wore an even more arrogant expression, as if being noticed by Paige was such a proud thing, even if it meant becoming an object. I looked at Chase and couldn't help but find it utterly ridiculous. He actually plans to everyone present was intimidated by her give up on me and choose some Morgan family. "If Donovan finds out, he'll definitely break his legs," I said nonchalantly. "Just a man. I wouldn't stoop to fighting over him with you. Although I don't know what you see in Chase. Without me, he'd probably lose his life and you by provoking me with these people today. Your Morgan family will suffer because of you." As soon as I finished speaking, everyone still looked at me as if I were a fool. I know that anything I say now is futile, so I wanted to pick up my phone, but it was Paige who crushed the screen with a stomp of her high heel. Just as she was about to step on my hand next, I grabbed her ankle and with a twist of her leg flung her out. Paige was thrown to the ground like a chicken. Her hair was disheveled, her dress askew, and her high heels scattered left and right. Everyone was stunned. "Don't you dare lay a hand on me." Caroline was the first to rush over to defend her master's honor. Everyone was stunned. I raised my hand and slapped her so hard she spun around in a full circle, clutching her face. She stared at me in utter disbelief. Chase immediately stepped forward to attack me as well, but he also received 2 hard slaps from me. I dusted off my skirt and looked at the 3 people I had struck. It barely counted as venting a little anger. Paige fumed with rage and cursed. "I'll destroy you." I spread my hands, signaling them to come at me. On one hand, my father protected me from danger since childhood to keep me safe. What he cared about more was that I must have the ability to protect myself. I started practicing mixed martial arts in my teens. I still maintain daily fitness training to take me down. You'd need at least 2 or 3 professional fighters. Paige's female bodyguards rushed forward upon hearing her command, but before they could get close to me, a powerful roar stopped them in their tracks. "Stop right there." Following the roar came the sound of a cane striking the ground with each step. I didn't even need to look to know it was Donovan who had arrived. Everyone turned their heads in unison, watching as Donovan walked into the conference room with a stern expression. He ordered his subordinates to activate the frosted glass panels surrounding the meeting room, blocking the view of curious employees trying to peek in from outside. Chase walked up to Donovan, his cheeks flushed and swollen, and said, "Grandpa, you came just in time. Talia is simply a shrew. She's utterly unworthy to be the daughter-in-law of our Donovan family. I must divorce her today." Donovan arrived. He didn't even dare to glance at me. I pulled over a chair with great interest and sat down. I saw Donovan with a dark expression on his face. Before Chase could even finish tattling, he raised his cane and gave him a hard whack on the arm. Chase cried out in shock. This one looked serious as he kept rubbing the spot in pain. "What are you doing?" Donovan then immediately Grandpa Donovan struck at his leg again. "You little brat. I'll beat you to death." Rather than waiting for you to get yourself killed, I might as well finish you off first. Grandpa, what are you doing? I'm your own grandson. Donovan was trembling with rage. Yet his hand continued to strike. If I hadn't arrived in time, the Donovan family would have been ruined by your hands. Who gave you the nerve to even think about divorce? Are you looking for death? What a blessing it is for Talia to marry beneath her station to you, and you dare to divorce her. Are you trying to bankrupt the entire Donovan family? The Donovan family may be newcomers to prominence, but Donovan's business has years of seniority and many close allies. Not to mention Chase mentioned his numerous military achievements before retirement. Everyone in the circle gives him some face. Over the past 2 years, the Donovan family has flourished under my support, and his status has risen accordingly. So his words, not to mention Chase, no one else dares to ignore. Donovan publicly beat his grandson over Chase's divorce. People began to speculate wildly about what kind of relationship I had with the Donovan family. Donovan Sr. actually defended Talia and even hit Donovan Co. Could what Talia said earlier be true? No way. Given the current power of the Donovan family, would they value a seemingly incapable daughter-in-law so much? I think Talia just managed to butter up Donovan Sr. But judging by Donovan Sr.'s tone, it doesn't seem that simple. Could we have actually offended? No one dared to guess further. Donovan publicly disciplined his son. Chase couldn't save face. He caught his son Chase couldn't save face swinging cane in one swift motion. Enough. I'm sick of hearing the same old lectures from you. What does Talia count for? The Morgan family's influence in Harbor City is no secret to you. The Morgans have connections with big shots in the capital. Only with the Morgan family's support can our Donovan family secure an invitation to the capital's inner circle. Everything I've done has been for the Donovan family. Hearing Chase's words, I raised an eyebrow slightly. So he wants to enter the capital's circle. Yet he never mentioned it to me. Instead, after going around in such a big circle, he only managed to connect with the Morgan family in Harbor City. I couldn't help but sneer, choosing the longer, harder path. How foolish. Paige adjusted her appearance upon Chase. Suggestion: Donovan. Since I've taken a liking to Chase, Donovan family is bound to rise even higher because of me. The noble he only managed to connect with the Morgan family in Harbor City. Families of the capital have never allowed outsiders to enter. But my Morgan family can help the Donovan family. With such an attitude, are you disregarding my Morgan family? Paige's words made me find it even more laughable. She's helping the Donovan family enter the capital. She, Morgan, didn't even get a share of the family fortune. How could she possibly help the Donovan family? Isn't this just ridiculous? My barely suppressed laughter made Donovan's expression darken further. He sighed. Morgan, miss. The Morgan family is indeed an established aristocratic clan in Hong Kong. The Morgan family is indeed an established aristocratic clan in Hong Kong. But Chase is my grandson. As long as I don't agree, there's no way he can get divorced. Talia will always be the granddaughter-in-law of our Donovan family, and no one can shake her position. Grandpa, Chase protested unhappily. Seeing this, I had to make my stance clear. Mr. Donovan, the issue now is no longer about whether Chase wants a divorce or not. It's me. I don't want to anymore. I spoke lightly. Donovan's expression instantly turned horrified. He walked step by step towards me with a cane. Then in front of everyone he bowed deeply to me. Everyone widened their eyes in surprise, and I helplessly averted my gaze. Donovan, seeing my indifference, was about to kneel immediately. I quickly reached out to support him and prevent him from. He bowed deeply to me, kneeling. I couldn't possibly accept a near centenarian kneeling before me. Talia, no, Miss Reed, I know Chase has wronged you. It's my failure as a grandfather in educating my grandson, and I apologize to you on his behalf. I also hope you won't hold it against him for the sake of our past friendship. Donovan family will never agree to a divorce with you. Even if I die, I won't allow it. Donovan, you know it's impossible. Why make things difficult for both of us? Ever since I learned that Chase instructed Caroline to target me, Donovan's family had already been kicked out of my life in the past. Donovan had already made requests based on his friendship with my grandfather. Now it's useless. Miss Reed, I Donovan beg you. Donovan knew that once I made a decision it wouldn't change. But in his heart he understood that divorce, I Donovan beg you, Donovan would render years of the family's efforts completely wasted. He had no choice but to throw caution to the wind and beg me to spare Donovan family. Donovan family head's public plea utterly stunned everyone present. Donovan actually begged her. So everything she said was true. Are we really going to lose our jobs over this? Can't be true, can it? Don't worry. Even if it is true, Donovan still has Morgan's support. What's there to fear? I glanced around at the whispering employees, looking at Donovan's tear-filled eyes. Forget it, Donovan. Everyone has their own destiny. Enough. Chase shouted with bloodshot eyes. He yelled at Donovan. I've had enough of you. I'm divorcing her now. The Donovan family is under my control. Donovan Group is mine and you can't control me. Chase didn't wait for Donovan to scold him further, directly, pulling out a stack of documents from his briefcase. He flung them right in front of me. I lowered my gaze to take a look. It was a divorce agreement. Talia, sign it. Name your price. However much you want, this marriage must end today. Donovan was so furious he couldn't speak. Donovan began having difficulty breathing. His blood pressure spiked, triggering a heart attack. Chase immediately ordered people to take Donovan to the hospital. Gone. Donovan's old restraints. Chase completely let himself go. He stared at me coldly and personally handed over the pen. I took it expressionlessly and flipped to the last page of the divorce agreement. He had already signed his name. I gave a self-deprecating smile and raised my eyes to meet his increasingly agitated gaze. Chase, I hope you won't regret this. I will never. He had already signed his name. Regret it. I nodded slightly in approval. Then, under everyone's gaze, she signed her name. Chase immediately took away the divorce agreement. As if afraid I might grab and tear it up, he embraced Paige with satisfaction. As if I were the wicked woman who tore apart the star-crossed lovers. Paige beamed brightly and planted a loud kiss on Chase's cheek. Then she looked at me with disgust and said, "Get her out of here already. She's an eyes saw." This was after I had just beaten her up moments ago. They all knew it was she's an eyes saw. Impossible to think of laying a hand on me. Any thought of searching me had to be abandoned, so they focused solely on driving me away. I let out a cold laugh, my eyes brimming with a like chill. Now it's time to settle my accounts. Paige scoffed dismissively, watching as I picked up the phone with its cracked screen. Fortunately, it still turns on. I stared intently into Paige's eyes and said, "Hey Siri, call Morgan Mohai." Calling Morgan Mohai. From the moment I uttered the three words Morgan Mohai, Paige and Chase's pupils instantly dilated. Are you kidding me? You're going to call my dad, Chase? Am I hearing things? She said she's going to call my dad. Before she could finish exclaiming, Morgan Mohai immediately answered the call. Young lady, how do you have time to call me? It should be me reaching out to you. Of course, one Paige's mocking smile freezes would recognize their own father's voice immediately. Paige's mocking smile froze instantly on her face. She trembled as she asked, "Dad, Paige, why are you calling from the young lady's phone?" Paige was about to ask more questions when I abruptly cut her off. "Morgan, it seems Paige is indeed your daughter. What a pity. Your Morgan family will be implicated by her." I briefly described Paige's actions and then hung up the phone. Right after Paige's phone rang, she answered with a puzzled expression. Morgan's furious cursing could be heard clearly throughout the entire meeting room. "Have you lost your mind? How dare you mess with the young lady? Do you want me dead or what? Paige, let me tell you, if the young lady is unhappy, or I disown you as my daughter, entire Morgan family will be reduced to begging. I don't care what you're doing. Get down on your knees and apologize to the young lady right now. Kowtow and apologize if the young lady doesn't forgive you. Morgan family will be ruined because of you and you'll never come back. I disown you as my daughter. The entire Morgan family has been brought to ruin by you." Paige was scolded into a daze by her father. After hanging up the phone, she began trembling all over. She looked at me with a face full of terror. Could you be from the capital?" I raised my index finger to my lips and made a shushing sound. Paige instantly dropped to her knees in terror. She shuffled I was wrong forward on her knees until she reached my feet, completely disregarding how others might perceive her. She kept kowtowing to me incessantly. "Miss, I was wrong. Miss, I was wrong. I was wrong. It was my blindness. I bullied others relying on my power. I'm not human. I deserve to die. I was wrong. Miss, I beg you, miss. Spare me this once. Let Morgan family off this time. My life is yours. I'll submit to your punishment." Paige's voice carried a sob. The kowtows grew increasingly forceful until the forehead quickly became swollen and bloody. But she dared not stop because without my command she wouldn't have the courage to halt. "I was wrong. Please, please spare the Morgan family, spare the Morgan family. Miss, I beg you." Hiding behind Paige the whole time, Caroline witnessed this scene, covering her mouth in utter terror. She watched as Paige knocked herself bloody. Yet I just watched coldly as if long accustomed to such scenes. She began to tremble, frightened and at a loss. She could only tug twice at Chase, who was also frozen in shock. But Chase was even more shocked than she was, seeing that kowtowing wasn't working. Paige started slapping her own face. The forceful slaps were loud enough to be heard outside the conference room. Her cheeks immediately began bleeding from the slaps, yet she kept apologizing relentlessly. "I was wrong. Please spare me, miss. I truly know my mistake." All the onlookers were completely stunned. They covered their mouths and noses in disbelief. Some were even too frightened they covered their mouths and noses in disbelief to speak. Who the hell is Talia? That even the Morgans of Port City are scared shitless. Donovan was telling the truth. Talia wasn't lying either. We're really going to lose our jobs. We've messed with the wrong people. What do we do? What the hell do we do? Donovan's completely paralyzed with fear. Paige's self-punishment was unbearably loud. I snorted impatiently and glanced at her before speaking. Paige. For generations, Paige's self-punishment was unbearably loud. The Morgan family has indeed been loyal, which is why they've maintained their foothold in Hong Kong. But I never expected that by the time it reached you, you wouldn't even know the most basic principles of being a decent person. I've said it before. The entire Morgan family will be dragged down by you. Paige was so badly beaten that she could barely speak clearly. Yet she continued to apologize and beg for mercy. I waved my hand impatiently. Take your people and get the hell back to Hong Kong. Paige looked as if she had received a royal pardon. Overwhelmed with gratitude, she cowed out in thanks again, and her bodyguards helped her up before they all skewered away in a flash. Morgan's family has served our household for generations, relying on our family to prosper and expand their clan in Hong Kong. Seeing Paige this frightened actually cooled my anger about the whole incident. I just don't know how I had Siri make another call to my people. Father will deal with Morgan's family when he finds out after we return. But all that is a matter for later. Dealt with Paige. Now only Chase and his lackey remain. I had Siri make another call to my people in less than 10 minutes. The entire Donovan group was completely surrounded by my men. All employees were restrained with no one allowed in or out. I walked up to Chase, who was drenched in cold sweat, his legs trembling with fear. "Chase, I warned you. I hope you won't regret it, wife. I warned you. I hope you won't regret it, wife." Chase's voice was shaking. I snorted coldly. "Don't call me that. We're already divorced." I reached out and patted his shoulder. He shrank back in fear. "Chase, I don't know what your grandfather told you, but before we got married he signed an agreement for you. If you divorce me, everything the Donovan family gained from me will be reclaimed. You may not know much about my family, but if I reclaim everything that belongs to me, your Donovan group will go bankrupt immediately. We just signed the divorce agreement." And from that moment the prenuptial agreement took effect. "So Chase, you better not regret this." Leaving the stunned Chase behind, I lifted my foot to leave. But before I could step out of the meeting room, a hand tightly grabbed my ankle. Looking back, Chase was imitating, but before I could step out of the meeting room, Paige's behavior, kneeling right at my feet. "Darling, I was wrong. I was wrong. It's all my fault for being Paige, blinded by her. I truly know I was wrong now. Please forgive me." I look at his despicable behavior. I really feel like cursing. Why do they always act without considering the consequences? And then when they can't bear the responsibility, all they know is to kneel and apologize. Just because they kneel, admit their mistakes and punish themselves. Does that mean I have to forgive everything they've done? What kind of bandit logic is this? With just one look, my people immediately pulled Chase away from my feet. "Chase, I told you divorce would. What kind of bandit logic is this? Cost you everything. They'll lose their jobs too. But none of you listened. So what else can I do now? Besides, how is your wrongdoing any of my concern?" Chase has already started crying. He fears losing everything he has now. He fears the entire Donovan family being destroyed by his hands. He begged me with heart-wrenching sobs. The employees in the company finally realized the severity of the problem. The entire meeting room was filled with wails of despair. But none of this has anything to do with me anymore. 2 years of marriage and finally I've regained my freedom. Truth be told, I've known since I was very young that marriage is just that kind of thing. When two people click, they can make it work. If it doesn't work out, they part ways. That's how everyone lives. A fool like my father who stayed with my mother his whole life. I doubt I'll ever meet. That's how everyone lives. A fool, someone like that in my lifetime. It is precisely because I have witnessed how rare and precious deep affection can be that I strive to keep myself from being swept into the whirlpool of emotions. Donovan came to propose marriage, which is why I agreed without hesitation. During the 2 years of marriage with Chase, our relationship was neither that of a proper husband and wife nor a real family. Divorce felt more like liberation to me. Leaving Donovan's place, I returned to the capital without a moment's delay. My father was furious when he found out about this matter. The first to bear the brunt was the Morgan family in Harbor City. I heard my father caused the Morgan family to lose tens of billions. Morgan Mulhey personally published a statement declaring Paige and the Morgan family are no longer related in any way than considering the loyalty she once showed while serving in our household. My father is sentimental, which is why he went slightly easier on the Donovan family. Is a different story, the Morgan family. But the Donovan family is a different story. They broke their promises first, then humiliated me. My father took over everything of the Donovan family by enforcing the prenuptial agreement originally signed with Donovan. Donovan suffered a stroke upon seeing the divorce papers and barely survived after prolonged emergency treatment. Chase lost everything he owned and could never recover. I heard that in order to seek my father's forgiveness, he knelt outside our old family home for a month. His legs were ruined from kneeling, but my father's forgiveness, it was all in vain. My father is a man who distinguishes clearly between gratitude and resentment. If you offend him, there might still be a chance for me to plead for mercy. But if you offend me, there's absolutely no way he would forgive you. Rumor has it that someone saw the leg-disabled Chase among a group of homeless people. Others claim to have seen Paige and Caroline getting harassed while promoting drinks in bars. But whoever it was, it's none of my business anymore because I'm currently fishing in the Caribbean, living the good life. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. So, feel free to share your opinions and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great stories. We'll see you in the next video.